the head coach of the Cardinal Mooney girls basketball team, Dom Diorio, good friend of the show. Coach, how we doing today?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're ready for basketball. It's getting closer and closer and closer.
Absolutely. We're excited.
Coach, let's talk about your team a little bit. You've had them for a little bit now. You had them in the summer, obviously, as well. What are you seeing so far from your players that you're really enjoying?
They're coming together as a team, and I can't say I can say that in the past years as much this year. I think we've talked about it and had a focus on it, and we've got to come together more as a team and play together as a team, and I think that's been our focus, and hopefully it's paying off here.
When you think about some of the things that you want to see in the last week, I should say, before the season starts, what's on your coach's checklist in this last week or so of preseason?
I don't think we have enough time. No, I mean, honestly, we're trying to simplify things and get better at the basics. We got to be good fundamentally, starting on the defensive end. And I think if we can do that and get sound on the defensive end, and we're getting there, each practice, each scrimmage helps. But, we've got to rely on that and then work our way, towards the offensive end once we're sound on the defensive end.
Let's have a kind of meet the team segment where you go through your roster, you shout out the names, and let us know who are going to be big contributors of Mooney basketball this year.
So we have a good mix as far as older girls, younger girls. We only have 2 seniors, so Sophia Diorio and Dana Hughes. We have a good mix in the middle, the juniors and sophomores. We have 3 returning starters. 2 of them are juniors, and Samantha Rotuno and Talisha Huff. And then some of the other juniors that'll be fighting for starting and playing time is Delaney Olish, Zanaya Ray Wright. I'm trying to think of Chakaya Howe. And then in the sophomore class, Katie Pregabon got a lot of playing time last year. She'll be in that mix. Frankie Cassis, Sophia Rotuno. We have one transfer. Yaya, she came over from East, and then Christina Coulias. She was with us last year on the JV squad. She'll be looking to get some time in the varsity possibly. And then we have a nice freshman class. We have 4 girls, and one Julia Diorio, Reagan Savitt, Ava Weeks, and Jania Vaughn. So we have a good group. We have a good group of girls, and all of them are really fighting for time. And we could possibly be 10 to 12 deep in our regular rotation. So we're excited.
Coach, listen to that roster. It just sounds like you're going to have a really good mix of young, hungry players that want their opportunity with, experienced leaders as well. What's that like as a coach to have a good mix of that? You don't have too much of youth, but you also don't have an overswelling of just alphas, seniors that all want to play, and you can't really find, ways to get them on the court.
Right. And we've had that before, but I like the mix that we have. It keeps everybody competing, and that's something else we're focusing on. We want them to compete every day, push each other more, not just because they're friends, they take it easy on each other, but having a good mix in each class. Nobody likes to look ahead, but, you always have to have that as a head coach in high school. You got to have, you got to be feeding the program and building the program. And so it's nice to see that we don't have 9 seniors and 1 sophomore and 2 juniors, whatever. We have a good mix throughout, and we have solid players at each level. So
a couple of names that you hear multiple, you have multiple Diorios, of course, that's got to be nice for you as dad/coach. But then that Rotuno name just keeps popping up in Mooney too. What's it like to have like the family legacies? You keep coming back to your program.
It's great, actually. It's and especially those girls. They're girls that you never have to question their effort and their heart and how hard they're going to play. They leave everything out on the court, and they go 100% in everything they do. And I wish I had 15 girls that did that. But having the girls like that you can count on and that are gonna play as hard as they can for you. I'll take any day. I'll take girls like that all day long.
Gives new definition to the Mooney family, right? When you're
Yeah, we
literally
do.
having family on the court. Coach, let's talk about your schedule. Obviously, we'll start with that Steel Valley Conference. It's small, but it's really good, really competitive. What do you see out of it this year? How do you think it's going to shake out?
I mean, it's going to be competitive. Ursuline's always tough. That's who we look at first usually. That they're always tough. I know they graduated a couple good players, but I know they have they got a couple players that came in from I think a transfer, and they have a nice freshman that came in. And then their returning players are solid. So they're gonna it's always a battle when we play them. East, you saw last year. I mean, our two games with East were. I mean, they were wars. They were like almost boxing matches. They were tough, competitive games, and I don't expect anything less from them. I know they lost a really good player, but she does a great job over there and getting those girls to play as hard as they can for her. And then Cheney's got some. I know they have a nice incoming freshman class. A couple girls that I know of that are really solid athletes, and they might shock a few teams this year. They're going to be much improved, I think. So I think overall our conference is, like you said, it's small, but I think we're going to compete and we'll fight with anybody in the at a conference.
Because the conference is small, you have a lot of opportunities to go and test yourself outside of it. And we know Mooney never fails to put up a really, really good schedule. Who are some teams that pop up outside of that Steel Valley Conference that you're excited to go and test yourself against?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? We get a lot of chances to play out of the conference, but when you look at some of the teams that we're playing, is that a good thing or bad thing? No, I enjoyed. I actually asked for these types of games. I said I'd rather play, teams that we're going to learn from and be pushed than to run scores up on. So we don't have many teams we're going to be able to run the score up on. So right off the bat, our first focus is our first game of the year. I mean, we open up with West Branch, who, is there a better program in the state than them? I don't know, but they're one of the best in the state year in and year out. They started off a little slow last year because of some injuries and some other stuff, but by the end of the year, they were a team you didn't really want to play. And they're big. I mean, they got, I think, three at least 6'2" girls. One's a point guard. Tough matchup. But we start out with them, and then we start out our home opener the Monday after against Salem. So I mean, right off the bat, we're thrown to the fire, and we're going to get tested. We'll know where we're at after that. And then after that, we've got a lot of quality games. We play JFK, who I know has got a nice incoming freshman class, and they got a couple transfers over last year and this year. Warren Harding always does a great job. They always play tough. Canton Central Catholic had a real nice young team last year, a lot of freshmen and sophomores starting for them. We play Massillon, Washington, and Springfield over at the Holiday Classic out at South Range. And then once we get into January, we've got, the Southeast is always a good team. But then we've got Boardman, we've got Canfield, we've got Poland. You name the teams, we play them. We play, we go out of town and play a team from Cincinnati, Hamilton Baden, a private school, and a all-private Catholic showcase down in Columbus in January. They were 22-4, I think, last year. So not a lot of. We play Walsh Jesuit at the end of the year. So a lot of great teams that will be tested and we'll be prepared for the playoffs.
Like I said, Mooney never shies away. There's your proof right there. I mean, you look at those teams and the pedigree of all of them. It's just ridiculously good. Coach, let's talk about your coaching staff, the people that are helping you do it. We always want to give the coaches their time to highlight the people that are behind them. So why don't you take the time and tell us who your staff is and who the people helping you are?
Yeah, so I've got I try to bring in people smarter than me. It's not hard to do, but somebody that is going to bring more than I can bring to the table that's been around the game. So first off, I have Kathy Patron. She's been anybody that goes to basketball games, you've probably seen her and know her. She knows everybody in the basketball world. Everybody knows her. She's been around the game for years. I don't want to say how many years, but longer than I've probably been born. And then we brought in her daughter, Lori Lucas. So she is a player, ex-player of Mooney. She was one of the greats. Her name's littered through our record books with some of the different stats, steals and shooting and stuff. She was in our program in the late 90s, early 2000s. And so I have those two helping me. We, as the three of us are, hopefully going to lead these girls and teach them and have some fun with them.
That's always what we want, Coach. One of the things that we were asking all of our coaches this year, it's kind of a theme of I guess you could say the season previews, is about the love of the game, right? You love it because you coach it. We love it because we broadcast it all the time, and your players obviously love it because they're putting in the time to play it. When did the love of the game of basketball pop up for you? When was your first kind of memories of seeing yourself fall in love with the sport?
Tough question. I would say, growing up playing, I don't know, it doesn't seem like kids do it as much nowadays, but growing up with, some of my friends, we were outside anytime the sun was out. Even when the sun wasn't out, we were outside playing hoops. And, every Saturday morning, and we'd play until dark, until the neighbors would come out and tell us it was enough. We've been playing too long. We're keeping them up at night. We had some battles in the driveways and stuff like that. And then that was when we were young, and that carried on through middle school and high school. And then, just always been a fan of it, watching the March Madness every year in college basketball. Not so much of an NBA professional, but I'm more of a high school, college fan.
Be still my beating heart. It's pure basketball. When you get in the NBA, in my opinion, just waters down the sport. I don't like watching it.
I agree.
Coach, we'll flip that to you, but what about the love of coaching? When did you start to really know that this was something you were going to stick with, and this is something that you could do year in and year out?
So I'll tell you what, I never thought I was going to go into coaching. I'll be honest with you. When I got married and we had our first child and we started getting her into sports, and I started going to, some of the games and practices. And I remember where the turning point of me when I started coaching was I went to a practice, and, they were little. I was probably a little too intense at the time, but I was at a practice and it was a soccer practice, and the coach, and they had already had a game. I just hadn't been able to get to a practice. The coach had already, or the team had already had a game, and they weren't real good. They got beat like 10-0 or something. And so I'm at the practice and I'm watching. I got off work early for some reason. I met my wife there and we're talking. And as we're talking, I noticed the kids are just running around. And they weren't even using like a soccer ball. They were just running around playing tag or something, which I get it. I guess if you do that once in a while to have some fun. But so I started saying, where's what are they doing here? Where's the soccer balls? What are they playing? And they said, oh, this is what they do at practice. And I don't know. To me, I just was like flabbergasted. I just couldn't believe it. So, then I went to the next game and I said the same thing. And I said, well, this is why we're getting beat, 10-12-0 every game. And, some of the parents were not happy with it. And one of the parents of the other team members heard me talking, probably not a great thing. I probably should be a little quieter, but he said, why don't you coach? You sound like you know a lot about it. And I'm not that I knew a lot about soccer, but from that point on, I thought I started coaching soccer the next year, and I kind of fell in love with helping kids and coaching them. And then I started doing some of the youth stuff at a Holy Family where my kids went to school, started coaching, got into the basketball, and I really loved basketball. I was not really a soccer fan. I have 4 girls, so football wasn't really an option. I did try it, but my wife wasn't real thrilled with the hours that I was putting in there. So I got into basketball, and, here I am probably 15 or so years later and still love it.
Here you are, Coach. We love it. We enjoy having you on. We do. We love covering you. We wish you the best of luck this year. We'll be out there at games, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Hey, I appreciate the coverage. Thank you.
All right, Coach. Have a good day.
You too.